This is Bevan Spencer von Einem, an ordinary-looking accountant who lived with his mother in Adelaide, Australia. Behind that facade was a sexual predator who would help turn the city's darkest rumors into reality. Between 1979 and 1983, von Einem and a loose group of men known as the Family abducted, drugged, raped, and tortured teenagers and young men across South Australia. 5 victims were murdered. Their bodies were found dismembered or dumped as if they were nothing. To this day, 4 murders remain unsolved. Rumors suggest high-profile Australians were involved. Politicians, judges, businessmen, all protected by suppression orders that remain in place decades later. This is the story of the family murders, a story of horror, cover-up, and secrets that Adelaide has never been able to fully bury. July 24th, 1983, an amateur geologist was walking near an airstrip in the Mount Crawford forest. He was searching for moss-covered rocks when he saw something in the bushes. As he got closer, the smell hit him. It was a body. The victim was Richard Kelvin, 15 years old, son of Rob Kelvin, Adelaide's most popular news presenter on Channel 9. Richard had disappeared 49 days earlier, just 60 meters from his home. The autopsy revealed something terrible. Richard had been held captive for 5 complete weeks. He was drugged with 5 hypnotics: Mandrax, Noctec, Amytal, Valium, and Rohypnol, plus alcohol. He was raped and tortured repeatedly. He died from massive blood loss due to an internal injury caused by a blunt object, probably a beer bottle. But Richard wasn't the first victim. And then the pattern became undeniable. It all began in June 1979, when 16-year-old Alan Barnes disappeared after hitchhiking. His body was found a week later in the South Para Reservoir. The body was severely mutilated. Alan had died from massive blood loss from an internal injury. He had been tortured before being killed. Noctec was found in his system, but that wasn't the worst part. 2 months later, Neil Muir's body was found in 2 garbage bags in the Port River. Neil Muir's remains showed meticulous dismemberment. His body had been dissected with surgical precision. Skin-bearing tattoos had been removed. Parts were placed in one bag before being put inside the abdominal cavity. The head was tied to the torso, with rope passed through the mouth and out through the neck. It was cold, clinical, and deliberate, the signature of someone who enjoyed control. Neil had also died from massive blood loss. Noctec was in his blood. In August 1981, 14-year-old Peter Stogneff disappeared. His skeletal remains were found over a year later by a farmer. Peter's body had been cut into 3 pieces, similar to Neil Muir. Someone had dismembered him with surgical precision. In February 1982, 18-year-old Mark Langley disappeared. His mutilated body was found 9 days later. Mark Langley presented a surgical-like incision from navel to pubic area, shaved as if for an operation, and a section of small bowel missing. The precision was chilling. Mark had died from massive blood loss. Mandrax was found in his blood. 5 young men murdered, all with massive internal injuries, all drugged, all tortured. The pattern was undeniable. For the first time, police had something they couldn't ignore. The drugs found in Richard's body, especially Mandrax, were prescription medications and heavily regulated. Police tracked who had prescriptions in South Australia. One name appeared repeatedly: Bevan Spencer von Einem. Von Einem wasn't unknown to police. In 1972, he was present when British law professor George Duncan was thrown into the Torrens River by a group of men. Duncan drowned. Von Einem supposedly rescued the other man thrown that night. That incident led to the decriminalization of homosexuality in South Australia in 1975. 2 days after Alan Barnes's body was discovered, an anonymous caller told police that Bevan Spencer von Einem was responsible for Alan's murder. Police noted the name, but followed other leads first. When police interviewed von Einem about Alan Barnes's murder, he mentioned Neil Muir's case without provocation. He said he had been Neil's lover and had seen him days before his death. How was it possible for one man to be connected to 2 separate murder investigations? Bevan Spencer von Einem was born around 1946. At age 7, he was sexually assaulted by a drinking friend of his father. When his father found out, he did nothing. As an adult, he worked as an accountant. He lived with his mother in Paradise suburb. In appearance, he was completely normal. But von Einem suffered from insomnia. This led him to drive around Adelaide late at night, fueled by alcohol, searching for victims. He had multiple prescriptions for sleep agents, including Mandrax and Rohypnol, and he had an insatiable appetite for young males between 13 and 25. Von Einem had developed strategies to lure victims. Sometimes he would unscrew his car's muffler and ask unsuspecting youth for help with car trouble. Other times, he picked up hitchhikers. But most disturbing is that he didn't act alone. Von Einem was part of a loose group of men known as as the family. They were individuals united by a shared interest in drugging, raping, and torturing young males. Police believe this group sexually assaulted a significant number of teenagers during the 1970s and early 80s. The name The Family came from a police detective's interview on 60 Minutes, where he stated police were taking action to break up the happy family. The name stuck. Adelaide in the 70s was transforming. South Australia had become the first state to decriminalize homosexuality. Adelaide emerged with a vibrant gay scene. But there was a dark side. In Veal Gardens, there was male prostitution, many underage. Wealthy men sought young males at Rundle Mall and video game arcades. Runaway teenagers were regularly exploited. Nobody asked questions. Von Einem and his associates took advantage. Some members, like Gino Gambardella, explored shopping centers looking for teenagers to exploit. High-profile lawyer Darren Stevenson regularly entertained teenage youths. Dr. Peter Milhouse, a doctor and relative of South Australia's former Attorney General, was also linked to investigations. Victims were drugged with mandrax and other hypnotics. Once unconscious, they were taken to houses and sexually assaulted for hours, sometimes days. Most were released traumatized but alive. Some never came home. 4 days after finding Richard's body, police questioned Von Einem. He claimed he hadn't seen Richard and was in bed with flu on the night of abduction. Police searched his home and found mandrax. Von Einem said he used it to sleep. He denied having other drugs, but police found Noctec hidden behind his wardrobe. Von Einem became nervous. Police took hair and blood samples, carpets and materials for testing. That was his mistake. Forensic investigators matched fibers from Richard's clothing with those from Von Einem's home. The hairs matched his. The evidence was overwhelming. Von Einem suddenly changed his alibi. Now he claimed he had seen Richard on June 5th. He said he almost ran over Richard while jogging. They had a conversation. Richard got into the car voluntarily. They went to his house for 2 hours. Then Von Einem dropped him near a hospital with $20 for a taxi. But this story had two huge problems. It contradicted his flu claim, and the fiber quantity was too large for only 2 hours. Witnesses heard cries for help, car doors slamming, and a noisy car speeding away. Richard had a dog collar when abducted, probably attracting Von Einem's attention. On November 3rd, 1983, police arrested Bevan Spencer von Einem and charged him with Richard Kelvin's murder. The trial began October 15th, 1984. Von Einem pleaded not guilty. His defense argued the prosecution hadn't proven guilt beyond reasonable doubt. But the evidence was overwhelming. After 7.5 hours of deliberation, on November 5th, 1984, the jury returned. Bevan Spencer von Einem was found guilty of murder. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. The judge imposed a non-parole period of 24 years, later extended to 36. Von Einem remains in prison today. Von Einem was the only family member convicted. In 1989, he was charged with Barnes and Langley's murders, but prosecution withdrew when a key witness refused to testify. Police believe Von Einem didn't act alone. They identified 3 other core family members. David Richmond, an eastern suburbs businessman, believed present when Richard was abducted. Robert Bland, known as Mr. B, a former male prostitute and Von Einem's friend, and Dr. Stephen George Woodards, an eastern suburbs doctor. In 2008, a cold case review opened with a $1 million reward. All suspects voluntarily submitted to DNA testing. Nobody else has been charged. Why? Many believe there's a cover-up, that high-profile people are protected. South Australia issued multiple suppression orders. Many details remain restricted, fueling allegations that not everyone involved was ever charged. Criminologist Alan Perry argued the murders were part of widespread kidnappings and sexual assaults that might number many victims in South Australia between 1973 and 1983. The victims had names: Alan Barnes, 16, Neil Muir, 25, Peter Stogneff, 14, Mark Langley, 18, Richard Kelvin, 15. They were sons, brothers, friends. They had futures, dreams, families who loved them. The family murders exposes the worst of human nature and system failures. A city that protected the powerful at the expense of the vulnerable. A society that valued silence over justice. Adelaide has never fully recovered. The city of churches, the city of festivals, the city of secrets. Behind its beauty, shadows remain unexposed. Bevan Spencer von Einem remains in prison. He has never shown remorse. He denies participating participating in other murders and blames Richard for his own death. Other family members remain free. Some are probably dead. Others still live in Adelaide, protected by silence and time. 4 murders remain unsolved. 4 families wait for answers. Many survivors carry scars from what was done. The family murders remains one of Australia's most disturbing cases, not only because of the brutality, but because of unanswered questions. Who else was involved? Why were they never charged? What are the suppression orders hiding? The lesson is clear and terrifying. When we protect the powerful, when we silence victims, when we value reputation over justice, we allow horror to flourish. Perhaps someday Adelaide will face its demons. Perhaps suppression orders will be lifted and truth revealed. Perhaps victims will finally get justice. But until then, the family murders remains a dark reminder of what happens when society chooses silence over truth, and how monsters can hide in plain sight, protected by those who should protect the innocent.